The entire royal court burst into laughter. My face burned. The king leaned back on his throne, smiling, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Your son may be the biggest fool in this kingdom." What they didn't know was that my foolish son had already outsmarted every single one of them. And by the time I discovered the truth, I realized the only fools in that room were the ones laughing. If you've ever been underestimated, mocked, or dismissed by people who thought they were smarter than you, this story is going to hit different. So before we begin, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying quiet revenge stories you'll hear today. I was the chief minister in the king's court. For years, I had solved impossible disputes, border conflicts, economic crises, trade negotiations. The king trusted my judgment more than anyone else's. No major decision was made without consulting me, and that made people uncomfortable. You see, in royal courts, intelligence earns respect, but it also breeds jealousy. There were men in that room who smiled at me during the day and whispered about me at night. Still, none of them could challenge me directly, so they waited. And then one morning, the king gave them their opportunity. We were gathered in court when the king casually said, "You are a brilliant man, but tell me, how did such a fool become your son?" The room went silent for half a second. Then came the laughter, soft at first, then louder. I felt something tighten in my chest. "My son," I asked carefully, "why would your majesty call him a fool?" The king chuckled. "Every morning when I visit the marketplace, your son stands among the crowd, and every morning I test him." He leaned forward. I ask him, "Which is more valuable, gold or silver?" My stomach sank. And every single day, the king continued grinning. He says silver. More laughter. One of the courtiers even muttered, "The apple falls far from the tree." I kept my face steady, but inside, humiliation burned like fire under my skin. Gold is more valuable than silver. Every child knows that. Had my son truly been embarrassing me in public? I bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I will speak with him." The king waved dismissively, still smiling. "You should." I walked home faster than usual that evening. My mind was racing. Had I failed as a father? Was my son truly lacking judgment? When I entered our home, he greeted me cheerfully. "Father." His calmness irritated me. "Tell me," I said, trying to control my tone, "which is more valuable, gold or silver?" He didn't hesitate. "Gold, of course." I blinked. "You're certain?" He looked confused. "Yes, father. Gold is rarer. It holds greater value." My frustration spiked. "Then why?" I demanded. "Do you tell the king that silver is more valuable? The entire court laughs at you." "At me?" He stared at me for a moment. Then something changed in his expression. Not confusion, not guilt, but calculation. "Father," he said quietly, "come with me." He led me into his room, kneeled beside his bed, and pulled out a wooden box. It was heavy. He opened it. My breath caught. The box was filled with silver coins. Dozens. No, hundreds. I stared at him. "How did you get these?" He closed the lid gently. "From the king," he explained. Every morning, when the king visited the marketplace, he would call my son forward. He would place 2 coins in front of him. 1 gold, 1 silver. "Take the more valuable one," the king would say. And every single day, my son picked the silver coin. The king would laugh. The crowd would laugh. And then the king would leave, leaving the silver coin behind. I felt the pieces begin to fall into place. "Why?" I asked slowly. "Why not take the gold once and end this humiliation?" My son looked at me steadily. "Because the day I take the gold, the game ends." I said nothing. He continued, "The king enjoys believing I'm foolish. It entertains him. It makes him feel superior." He paused. "If I take the gold once, he will stop offering coins altogether." He tapped the box. "But if I keep choosing silver, he keeps coming back. And every day, I earn another coin." My mind reeled. One gold coin versus unlimited silver coins. Short-term pride or long-term gain. "They laugh at you," I whispered. He smiled slightly. "They laugh for a moment. Then they forget." He gestured to the box again. "But I don't forget." Suddenly, the humiliation I felt in court began to dissolve, and something else replaced it. A deep, quiet pride. My son wasn't foolish. He was patient, strategic, disciplined enough to tolerate mockery for sustained reward. He understood something the entire court did not. Sometimes, appearing weak is power. The next morning, I returned to court. The king smirked at me. "Well, have you educated your son?" I bowed slightly. "My son understands value very well, Your Majesty." The king laughed. "I doubt that." I simply smiled and said nothing, because I now knew something he did not. The king believed he was testing a fool. In reality, he was funding a strategist. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The laughter continued, but I no longer felt its sting. Every silver coin added to that box was a quiet victory. Not loud, not dramatic, but consistent. And here's the part that changed everything. One day, the king decided to end the game. Perhaps he grew bored. Perhaps someone whispered in his ear. That morning, he placed the 2 coins down again. "Take the more valuable one," he said. My son paused longer than usual. The crowd leaned in. For the first time, he picked up the gold coin. A ripple of shock moved through the people. The king narrowed his eyes. "Aha," he said slowly. "So you finally learned." My son bowed politely. "Yes, Your Majesty." The king nodded, satisfied. I never offered coins again, but it didn't matter. The box was already full. The daily silver had accumulated into something far greater than a single gold coin. And the true satisfaction wasn't the money. It was knowing that the same people who mocked him had unknowingly supported him. Years later, that silver funded investments, trade ventures, land purchases. My son quietly built influence, not flashy, not boastful, just steady growth. And one day, one of the very courtiers who once laughed at him came seeking financial help. He didn't recognize the irony, but I did. As I watched my son calmly negotiate terms from a position of strength, I felt that old courtroom laughter echo in my memory. Only now, it sounded different. Because the true fool is not the one who appears foolish. It's the one who mistakes patience for stupidity and underestimates the silent observer. Here's the truth. The world often laughs at what it doesn't understand. Some people chase immediate validation. Others build quietly. If you know your strategy is working, let them laugh. Time has a way of revealing who was really wise all along. If this story made you rethink what foolish really means, hit that like button and tell me in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated and proved people wrong quietly? Subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Until next time, be patient, be strategic, and remember, not all revenge needs noise. Sometimes, silence earns the most.